Talofa lava, a whio mai a le koko I tala o Ta'alonga. Wa o Penina. A o le taimi nei, o whaatasi mai lo o muso o
Leilani Momoiseā, talofa lava koko ainga.
Manuia le Vaiaso o le Gagana Samoa.
A couple of weeks ago we had Samoan rapper Lisi over here to do some promo for his upcoming New Zealand tour.
Yeah, let me tell you about home. It's more than a place I'm from, more than a place where you think I belong, more than a hood that I
And did you know that Lisi's a bit of a sports head and he loves his footy? Take a listen.
Hey, what's up? My name is Lisi. I'm from Gagana, which is in Queensland, Australia. And I'm a rapper. And I've been a fan of sports since I can remember. Yeah, we all played footy growing up, and I think, you know, like even mum was manager, dad coached a bit. So yeah, just been around rugby league for a long time, and yeah, I guess we all just got the hang of it, and we love it now. I was a centre. I played centre, and sometimes in the forwards if, you know, the boys were too tired, they'd just chuck me in there, little skinny mutt. So we all just played local footy. Well, my sisters, they made rep teams and whatnot, like Southeast Queensland Dragons, Met West, and what else did they? Queensland Samoa. They played for Queensland Samoa and stuff. So yeah, we're all massive like rugby league fans and like lovers. Oh yeah, growing up, like definitely that was. I feel like for most of the island boys that were in my area, and in Brisbane in general, it was just rugby league. This is sort of a new career path that I've chosen. Like it just came, you know, with the way the world works, I guess. No one was really into anything else other than just being a footy player. So yeah, it was a dream back then, but God works in mysterious ways. Footy team, South Sydney Rabbitohs, South Sydney till I die. And yeah, that's the best team ever. Of all time, I'd go Sam Burgess. Just showed a lot of heart, you know, running the ball, defense, all of that. Sort of a leader on the field. And I used to just be like, you know, on the fence with the South. But when I watched Sam Burgess, it sort of, you know, made me love the Rabbitohs even more. So yeah, I'd go with him. No, yeah, I'll go for Samoa because that's heritage. But if it's a trans-Tasman test, I'm going for the Kangaroos. Sorry, Kiwis. I'm more concerned about whether our players are gonna, you know, pledge allegiance to, you know, Samoa instead of playing for Australia and New Zealand. A bit like Tonga did. Yeah. I reckon we could, you know, be as good as bloody Australia. If you put like Luai, I think Dylan Brown's Samoan. You know, got like Krita, Bizza, Ronaldo, heaps of Samoans and that are, you know, playing for Australia and New Zealand, but imagine if we all came together and played for Samoa. I'm talking like I'm playing, but I mean like the players, if they all came like and, you know, said, all right, we're gonna play for our motherland, that'd be pretty good to watch, but yeah, see how it goes. Now, so I was born here, as most people know, but when we first moved to Australia, we moved to Sydney. And so as a young kid, you know, when I watched the State of Origin, since we were living in Sydney, I was like, oh, well, then I'm gonna go for New South Wales. And this is at the time where we were getting pumped, like 9 in a row, every year. But even when I moved to Brisbane, I still stayed loyal to the Blues, and look at us now. Latrell Mitchell, he's a gun. Tommy Turbo, Trebojevic, he's cracker too. Daniel Safidi, and who else is there that's pretty good? Oh, Cameron Murray. Yeah, I love Cameron Murray, but I think I'm a bit biased because he's South Sydney, so yeah.
Shout out Lisi, who's a Blues fan. Yeah, the Blues. I go for Blues. Who do you go for, lads?
Maroon. Queensland.
Okay. So speaking of State of Origin, Game 1 is next week on the 8th of June. And there's a bunch of Islanders who have made both teams. In the AZ Premier Netball Comp, the Robinhood Stars beat out the Southern Steel in like extra time, 62-60. So now they've secured their final spot. And Ashley was able to talk to their centre / wing attack.
My name is Mila Reuelu-Buchanan. I play for the Robinhood Stars netball team. My mother is Kokala Māori, so Ngāti Porou and Aitutaki. My dad is Samoan Tokoloan, so Atahu and Savai'i, Satupaitia. Since making the Silver Ferns and obviously having the opportunity to go to the quad series, it's definitely given me the confidence to really aim high. I think as well I sort of, not doubted myself, but I guess, you know, when you're not in that environment, you never know where you stand. So it was amazing being able to put on that black dress, and I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Getting into netball, well, I had no choice. I had to play sport growing up, and I think, for me, it kept me grounded. I met most of my friends, my best friends, through netball. Mum and Dad never ever pressured me to play netball, and they always said, you know, if you're going to take it seriously, we'll be here to back you, and if you don't, then it's all good. You do what makes you happy. The most important thing about it is it was my sort of outlet to just let my head down, to be involved and surrounded by my family. It also sort of linked me to my culture as well. Was able to represent the Tokolon Sharks, the Mahutanga Tupulanga, able to play for the Cook Islands, and on my Māori side, I played for Ikarua ki te Tonga, so that was pretty special. So I was able to really learn about my culture too, which I think is quite special for me. So outside of netball, well, I think the first thing for me, and probably one of my proudest achievements, is actually graduating a Bachelor of Social Work. I think for me, growing up in Porirua, surrounded by my Pacific, brothers and sisters, it was always my goal to really help in any way that I could within the community. Whether that be doing, voluntary work or offering up my services within sport. So being able to sort of have somewhat a profile, I'm able to really advocate for our people, and so I think that was one of the biggest reasons why I went into social work. Haven't had a lot of experience behind it. I was able to have my placement with Whangaia Ngā Pāharekeke, which is the family harm intervention team with the police, and it was a massive eye-opener for me. And so I've been lucky enough to been given that role again after the season, so I'll start working there. And so I guess outside of that, my hobbies, is fashion. So love playing a little dress up, love looking different to everyone else. And I started a keke rentals where I, sort of offer, cheaper or affordable garments to rent out to people of all sizes, which is one of the biggest things that we wanted to ensure that we have. Well, I think for the Robinhood Stars, we have made it a priority to celebrate our cultures. How can we not? We have such a diverse netball team and a group of girls, and we all bring our values and those strengths that come from our cultures. And so we have Amorangi Malisala, who really drives the culture within our team, and myself, of course. And so it's been awesome to really be able to acknowledge that, because it's so important and it's our identity. One piece of advice, I think the biggest advice that I've taken away from my mum and dad in particular, never forget who you are, always stay grounded and stay humble. Humble to an extent, you celebrate those small wins, absolutely, and I think that we can all be better at that. But always know where you are and where you come from, and ensuring that you are acknowledging your whānau, your whakapapa, your community.
That's so awesome that Mila and the Robinhood Stars are incorporating their culture into the team environment. Very timely, ahead of the ANZ Premiership Heritage Round this week.
Yeah, and it was also really cool to hear how she's going to use her degree in social work and then go back to working with the police as well. Shot Mila. So Leilani is the host of the Snacks and Chats podcast, which she originally started just talking to people from all different walks of life. And then last season, she focused on fighters. You've been podcasting for a while now, even before I think other people got into it. What was the inspiration behind that, and then why the switch to fighters?
I had started doing profiles of women that I thought were doing cool stuff, and I had a friend who read them, messaged me and was like, you should interview them for podcasts instead. And he just happened to be a sound engineer. So I was like, okay, do you want to do it with me? Shout out Ben. And so we started doing that. And in terms of the last season with fighters, I had initially wanted to base it around the Auckland fight night a while ago, but because of COVID and all that kind of stuff, it got a bit delayed. But I still sort of, I love MMA. I love combat sport. I just wanted an excuse to talk to them, basically. So yeah.
So who would have been your favorite interview out of the fighter guys?
Oh, I loved Dan Hooker. He was my favorite. I think if you watched it, you can kind of tell as well. I'm like, I've been following him since he first got in the UFC. I'm a big fan of his personality as well as his fight style. It was really cool to chat with him. Yeah.
And do you have anyone on your wish list for fighters you haven't interviewed yet?
I did interview Carlos and Bloods, and it would be really great. I was thinking the whole time, oh man, I wish this was podcasted so people could listen to this. So I'd like to go back to them and put it on film or tape or something. Yeah, because they both have super interesting stories. Yeah.
And then you actually had your own fight yourself with the Wimp to Warriors. That's called a different name now, Alto or something.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was probably one of the best things I've ever done. I've never felt so happy after finishing something. I was on the biggest high ever. So and after it was 5 months of training and hard work. And I think if you're a fan of MMA, learning, it was seeing behind the hood, is that the saying? Anyway, it was figuring out the mechanics of how everything works. That and then putting it into practice in a fight, it was just a cool thing to do. Yeah.
And Leilani was also the first Pasifika woman to ever host the in-ring interviews for a major boxing event in New Zealand. How did that opportunity come about, and how was that experience?
I think it was actually from my MMA series that I had done. The sport guy had been looking for a presenter. He came across that series and just got in touch with me. So yeah, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. Sure.
And that fight night was the Parker versus Far fight night. Mm-hmm. And on that card there was both Junior Far and Kemia Hill. And now they're going to be on the Cambosos versus Haney card.
Yeah.
So that'll be really cool for them, eh?
It's going to be massive, 50,000 crowd. It will feel so nice for Junior after so many COVID delays. So yeah, it's going to be awesome seeing them in front of a huge crowd, as well as just getting back in there.
And that's it, guys. Comment, like, subscribe. Thanks, Lance, for helping a sister out.
No worries, mate. Anytime, except for any other time. Just kidding.
So the next show we'll be going to the Pac Force, which is USA, All Blacks, Australia, and Canada. They're all playing each other in over 3 weekends, preparing for the Rugby World Cup at the end of the year. So come say hi if you see us out there.
I'll say hi if I see you.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Shot.